So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world. And welcome to another interview of the Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector. And today I'm joined by John from the band Nest. Uh, and they're a band that is about to release an album called Endeavors on April 12th. And it's their fourth album. And they're also heading up soon on tour. So we're here to talk about the album, music, and everything in between. So first of all, John, how are you today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me. Nice to meet you. Nice
Yeah.
couch.
Yes. Yeah. Well, actually, your couch is nicer than mine.
Oh,
I,
you think?
I, I must say, yeah. No, it looks comfortable. I do some fancy work so you can see how screwed up this couch really is. Uh, I'll need a new one soon. The kids, they just keep breaking it for me. So I got the promo for the band, and I like the band name because Nest. And I was reading that when everyone thinks of Nest, they think of like pretty birds nest, but there's rat nest, like ugly nest. So Nest. So when you were picking that name, did you have like did you always were keen on naming this band Nest?
Well, it came to the point where we needed a band name, and the
Oh yeah.
name and Nest, I wanted to originally have be the name of the Pig Destroyer record, Head Cage. They hadn't figured out a name, and the singer actually sent an email saying, I can't, I'm having trouble uh, really having a concept and having a name for the record, and then it finally hit him, Head Cage. And so the Nest idea was scrapped for that. And then I always thought, like, what a great idea for a band to have a kind of all these elements all in one band, have heavy and soft and metal mixed with some ballads. And so I thought it was the perfect name for the band.
Yeah, when I was listening and reading your the influence that you have, that you mentioned bands like Helmet, Hum, Deftones, and Quicksand, I could see it musically, but the vocals are harsher or more like in the hardcore realm to me. With a band like you have it right there, like Misery Index. So I think of like different elements to that,
Absolutely.
to the sound of Nest. So so this being your fourth album, and I know you're a mostly instrumentalist, so you worked on this record, everything, and I think you did this in a week. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right. That's right. Yeah. I did
What was the
everything.
process for that week?
Well, it started with an email asking us if we wanted to be on Housecore Records. And that really inspired me to get to work on
Hmm.
some new music. And I always start with drums first. I like to have a good, some people like just a metronome. Like that's what the guy from Aerosmith taught me when in the 80s. Like, hey, just turn on a metronome and something will come to you. But I like to have the drum beat, and then I'll piece together drum beats into a full song, honestly. And then I'll start putting guitar riffs over that and make sure, of course, they intertwine. You can't just skip around. You got to really have an intro into the verse, into the pre-chorus, into the chorus, into the back into the verse, and to the then makers to the bridge to the big outro. And so I like to piece together drums that make me inspired to write guitar riffs. And then from there I write the guitar riffs and the bass, lay that down, and then I'll listen to those songs and for maybe a couple days, and then make any edits or changes, try to make them the best I can. Then I'll move to vocals. Then within a day, I'll write all the words usually, and record them usually within 2 days. And there you go. That's pretty much the whole week. Like
No, not overthink it. Just go with the gut feeling.
right, yeah. But once I start, I usually it's hard to stop. Like I always want to complete it because I'll be thinking about it at night, and then I'll wake up and it'll be the first thing I'm thinking about, to the point where it's like I need to complete it, or I'll just keep thinking about it. So you just got to get it done.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's incredible that you could do the album in a week. You know, you have the vision and you saw it through. So obviously, I'm thinking that when Housecore Records asked for you to put the album with their label, I know this Phil Anselmo's label. How did that come about? You know, that Phil, you know, that you got in touch to get this album released on their record label.
Well, it started with the band Fulgora. Uh, my cousin Adam and I and Brandon Lemieux have a band, and we sent I sent that to Housecore years ago, and he ended up liking it, and we ended up getting a message one day saying, get in touch with us. We want to sign you to Housecore, and we did, and they did. So that's what kind of started it. And then I ended up meeting him at a Maryland Death Fest, hanging out, and then got to the point where Derek and I needed a singer for Scour, and of course you may know about the band Scour, uh, and kind of went from there. And then we Nest plays a lot of shows, at least since we have been able to, and played New Orleans a lot. And when we would play down here, we would stay at Phil's house. He has a nice place, where a nice guest room, and was nice enough to let us stay for free. It really saves us,
Oh
150
yeah.
bucks on a hotel room. You know what I mean? It's and it's beautiful at his place, of course. So we always took advantage of that, and I guess maybe that's where he first heard about Nest, was us, come staying at his place. And luckily he checked us out and liked it, And really, if he likes something, he'll back it and put it out. And
Yeah, so the new album, I already know that you have a single out for the record that it's being out. I think not a long while now. It's called. I think it's "What's the Time," right?
what's the issue?
What's the issue? Yes, which is almost the last song on the record, and it's like a short, uh, 2 minutes and 2 seconds track, and the music video is just you guys playing somewhere. It's just simple, to the point. Tell me a little bit about that song. What's the issue about?
Well, the song, I remember wanting to have a cool drum part that was very memorable, to where the drums get a little spotlight, and it's funny that it turned into the perfect part of a song for us to take a guitar pick and toss it into the crowd. So we kind of had fun with it on this last tour, the bass player and I, where there's a nice chord where I slide down, and then the drums go into the memorable drum part, and we would toss a pick after each one, to the point where the bass player's like, I'm going for 8 in a row tonight. I'm going to get 8 picks in a row. And we were just having a blast playing this song live. What's the issue? But really, it just started with trying to have a cool drum part, give a little love to the drummer, get a little spotlight on him, and in return, it gave the perfect opportunity for the singer and guitar player and bass player to have a little fun with the crowd. So it worked out. So, and lyrically, it was about an issue I had, where I was at a job. I was a bartender at this really nice Italian restaurant, and there's a lot of parties would come in, and this young waitress, she really had problems, and she didn't know a lot about uh, drinks or serving wines or anything. She couldn't tell you a white wine or a red wine, the difference between, a Chardonnay or a white Zinfandel. She asked me what a 7 and 7 was one day, and I said, "Oh, this is gonna be tough." And anyway, that night, well, anyway, her husband was the chef. The
Okay, yeah.
chef's running the show and put his wife on the floor,
Even
and
though she doesn't know.
she had no business being there. And of course, it pissed off all the waiters because they started giving her the big money tables. And the
Mm.
waiters that have been there for 20 years are watching this like, are you kidding me? Anyway, the restaurant was closed within 3 months of this happening.
Okay, good. So
And this restaurant was there since 1927. So like when I
it
walked
was
out of
her
there,
fault.
it was really their fault. There was no doubt about it. So it wasn't me overreacting about this. And the party starts coming to me complaining, like, what's going on? And the waitress comes to me, she's like, I need this, this, this. And the chef comes out, he goes, what's the issue? I said, the issue is your wife didn't come in on time to work tonight and do her job. And now we're all doing her job for her. That's the issue. And he didn't like that, of course. And it was
That's a great backstory for the song. And I had something similar happen to me. I went to a place in Puerto Rico where it's famous because there's like wines and supposedly everyone there knows what wine pairs better with the meat that you're having. And I asked for like, hey, what is the best wine to go with this? And I think that girl was new because she's like, oh, the ones that's that's behind you. I'm like, really? That exact wine? She's like, yes. I don't think she had a clue.
Right.
I don't remember the wine being that bad, but I think she totally made that on the spot. But at least maybe she was smarter than the wife from that guy. So yeah, that's interesting to that know where what's the issue came from. And now you put it in a song. Now people will be like, oh yeah, there's a backstory to that song. Cool. So another song that you told that you don't do a lot of solos, but on the song concept, you did do a guitar solo. It's a short song, but there's a cool solo to it. Like, what made you like do a solo? Because I know that sometimes solos are like there's some bands that need to have solos, but for this type of music, that's more like this type of. I don't think like solos are like generally something that this type of music has.
Right. And they're really not necessary in a lot of songs, but and I'm not a great guitar player, so I avoid them in the first place. But in this, I remember the bass player at the time, she said, you should really have a guitar solo on one of the next songs you write. Uh I was doing a couple for some cover songs we were playing live, but this would have been a first for Nest, I think. And really it was someone just asking me to do it that inspired me to do it. And I just was just waiting for the perfect moment. And it felt like the end of that song was the perfect way to just end off the song. So
yeah, it's like a clean sounding solo. It sounds very clean and it ends the song. But yeah, it adds something different to that song. And it's not a long song because I think the longest song on this record is under 4 minutes, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, it's a very short record, and really all of my records are, because I don't like to write long, extended uh, songs. I'll leave that to bands like Yes and Tool and Dream Theater. Dream Theater can do it, man. It's theirs.
Yeah, I like they're short, but they're there's like these grindcore bands that have these 30-second songs. At least you hit the 2 minute mark because like how much can you get in 30 seconds really?
Right. Yeah. And I've played in some bands where it's like, all right, we're gonna long set, and for like Pig Destroyer example, it's like, well, that's going to be like 35 Pig Destroyer songs, because like there's a lot of 30-minute songs and 1 minute songs. And
Yeah.
yeah, but that's the thing, that's their thing, that's grindcore. And that's like, I'll let them do that. I'll try to write in the 2 to 3 minute. That's just seems to be a sweet spot for good songs. That's just my
Yeah, to me,
opinion.
that's a sweet spot because it's not too long and not too short, just a good amount. And there's like one of the longest tracks on the record, which is Burn Clean, which is 3 minutes and 28. I like that one because that one's more of a slower song, slower pacing song. So it stands out on the record. And it's almost at the middle of the record. So tell me a little bit about Burn Clean and the feeling of that song.
Well, I like to have a ballad on each record. So that's the ballad for the record. And I like to put it on track 4 because that's what Metallica did on Injustice
Yeah,
for All with
and Fade to
one.
Black.
And I and Fade to Black on right, so it's kind of a formula that I stole from them. It's like it just seems to be a cool
Yeah.
place to put the slower track. I've hit them with a couple bangers, slow it down, and then more bangers. That seems to be a good record
And everyone
formula.
steals from Metallica. Uh, Even though
Yes,
people will claim that they suck and stuff, but they're still stealing or
yes,
borrowing like what
yes.
they did. But yeah, now that you mention it, yeah, it's always track number 4 because in and Justice for All, one is the track number 4.
Right,
Then you have I think, and on Master of Puppets is Welcome Home Sanitarium. So yeah, it is
right.
number 4, except the Black Album. I think they
Yeah,
have
I don't know where there's a lot of ballads on that one, I think.
there's like 2 ballads there, so they kind of like mix the formula there. So yeah, it makes sense. And what is the Burn Clean about?
Well, if I remember, it's kind of a depressing subject, but it was the suicide of Trevor from Black Dahlia Murder. I don't know if
Yeah,
you're a fan or know him, but he was a friend, and I had we toured with him, and I've done many shows with him, and so it just happened to be that week I was writing that song. He happened to pass away, and I just remember some really cool moments with him. Like I saw him backstage at a Carcass tour once. I think they were touring with Carcass, and I was drinking a beer, and he was just like, "What are you drinking? A beer? That's not strong enough." And grabs me, and next thing you know, we're taking shots, and just I'm getting wasted with this guy. And then a couple years later, when I joined Pig Destroyer, he got real excited and was like very happy for me, and we started playing shows together. And at the end of one of the shows, he grabbed me and he said, "You're the best part of this band." And I was just kind of like, "Wow, man, thank you, dude." So he was someone that's always inspired me and made me feel like I should be there and keep going. And so basically, that's my tribute to him.
yeah, no, he seemed like a great guy. He played in Puerto Rico, like I think like in somewhere in the 2000s in a it was like a strange venue. But after the show, he hung out with everyone, took pictures, like was like real down to earth dude. So yeah, it was a real loss. And I always enjoyed the Black Dahlia Murder. I thought they were uh they were so awesome as a death metal band. Every album was banger after banger. So yeah, it's a real loss. So yeah, it's good to know that that's a song dedicated to him. I know that it affected a lot of people in the metal industry, but it is a great song. So yeah, but I didn't have the pleasure of meeting him. I saw him twice and on an Ozfest song 2005, and yeah, he was very energetic on stage. So that's good to know. So yeah, the album, you know, uh, it deals with some heavy subject matter, but I also like it that you have like the cleaner, softer. Like you're inspired by shoegaze, you're inspired by hardcore. How freeing is to have a band that you can basically mix so many genres, but still sound like Nest.
Yeah, and that's really the idea because it's great to be able to play with heavier bands, with death metal bands, uh, and then still be able to play like at a blues venue where they've never heard extreme metal before and still get accepted. And so it's nice. I really wanted to be versatile where you know uh, we can do a little bit of everything and mix it all into one. it, if we need to. And that's why I even like to do covers from time to time, just because it keeps us, you know.
What covers have you done?
Oh, she's over the years, done Slayer, Spill the Blood, Sepultura, Roots Bloody Roots, ZZ Top, Cheap Sunglasses, Thin Lizzy, uh, Jailbreak. We do Nine Inch Nails, March of the Pigs.
No,
I can go on
that
and on.
one.
Smashing Pumpkins, Disarm,
Oh wow,
but
which one? Which Smashing Pumpkin songs have you done?
Disarm. But we do the heavy version that they did at the Video Music Awards. They've never recorded it
I
on a
think I
record.
remember that where they played the song more electric guitar.
Yes, and it was really cool because that week they were hyping up the music awards, and there was a lot of great bands, and they were telling this band's playing this song, and this band's playing Nirvana's playing this, and Smashing Pumpkins is playing Disarm, and I was just like, what? Why? Well, why would they do Disarm? They could do
Yeah,
so many rocking songs.
I
What?
know.
Why would they do
You
Disarm? And
know, I
then
saw them in concert when I was living in Miami in 2018, and they opened the concert with Disarm. And I'm like, I love this song, but it's kind of strange. Like, why wouldn't they open like with Share of Rock?
right, right. Well, if
But
they opened with the rocking version like they did, well, that's the
no,
thing.
they
They ended
did. It
they
was
did the
it,
normal version.
it was
Uh,
and it was just Billy with like an acoustic guitar, but it was emotional because they put like picture of him as a child, and then they went into rocking songs. But I remember being like, this is awesome because they're one of my favorite bands. But I was also thinking this is a strange like opening song. I would imagine like I would open like
hey, just a second, bud. So, yes, man. Yeah, bring them on up. I'm just doing this interview real quick. Come on
yeah.
up, doggies.
Are you getting some food, man?
Sorry, did you hear that?
Yeah, I know. That's okay.
Come here, puppies. We got a couple guests. We got Cronky. Here's Kronk
Ah, that's a nice looking dog.
and Willow. What a good girl.
Willow. Is it because of the movie Willow?
I couldn't tell you. Sure, I did not name
You
Willow.
didn't name them. So
No,
yeah, so
these are
no,
not my dogs. I'm just babysitting real quick.
oh, that's cool. So yeah, so dude, you're taking half of
Good
the
boy.
camera.
Cronky, come on. I
He
know it.
wants to interview as well.
You may know him from the new Down pictures. He was just in the photos shoot with Down for all
Oh,
their new.
nice. Yeah,
So
it's
he's kind
a
of famous.
I'm actually dog sitting this weekend as well. My
Oh, it's the
girlfriend's
best.
dog. So, but he doesn't have a cool name. His name is Bambi.
Oh no, that's cool. I like that.
Well, every time I take him to the bed, I try to tell a Bambi joke, and I tell
Right.
them, do not ask him about his mother. And the woman looked at me like,
Ooh.
what? I'm like, oh well, she obviously didn't see Bambi.
Yeah, well, it's probably best to keep it that way. That movie will traumatize people.
They
Like
will,
it did be like when
they
they're
will
kids, like,
traumatize you as a kid. So I
yes,
want
I
to
remember
show
that.
the artwork for the record endeavors because I think this is a cool artwork. And the last Green Day album, they try to do an artwork with something similar, but you nailed it. So I'm sorry, Green Day. This is a great artwork, but I had a question for you. Is this AI generated or is this a picture?
This was a combination, I think, that Sean Knight, I didn't do the artwork. That was Sean Knight from Child Bite.
Mhm.
And we had some AI uh, artwork that we had shared in the past, whether it's on a flyer or something. And so he kind of took this was a combination of him working with AI. So I think there's definitely some of that involved. But he would be the guy to answer that question honestly. He
Yeah.
gave me a bunch of options, and that was one that stuck out because we had played some shows. Actually, one of our very first concerts, it was our second concert ever. It happened in New Orleans, and 200 people show up, and they ended up burning down two cars, and the fire department had to come shut the show down. And I
Wow.
remember I took a picture. It was an awesome show. It was a great time. But when I saw the artwork, I said, well, that reminds me of the show we played. So it's perfect for the record.
No, yeah, it's a striking image, and it goes with the record because this record can be harsh and abrasive, but also it has some like calmer times. So it's a good combination of that style. For you, if for people who haven't listened to Nest, which at least which song on this record would you say, like, if you want to get an idea of what we're all about, this is the song that you need to play?
I would pick the final track, Plasticine.
That's
Uh,
a yeah.
it's got some some crazy blast beat drums, and then it's also got some cool like helmet type, like the outro, for example. Then it's got a cool hardcore bridge, so it's got a lot of different elements all in one song.
Yeah, it's a great song. And you also Run Ahead is a great album opener as well. It picks up with the hardcore energy, but yeah, that Plasticine is a good track uh, to go for it. So I know you guys are playing shows soon, or did you already went? Because I know Pantera is on a tour with Lamb of God, and I think you played that, or are you playing more shows with them?
So we just did 6 shows for that tour. And then now we're leaving Wednesday for our own headlining tour to promote the record. So we leave New Orleans on Wednesday, April 10th, and then go to California and back, and playing some really interesting places. We're playing a dispensary.
Oh,
Uh,
awesome.
we're playing a hotel, which I've never played a hotel or a dispensary before. So it's going to be pretty interesting. But we're also playing some places we've played in the past. There's a couple venues we've played, a couple cities we played, but also some new states we've never played. So it's going to be pretty sick because we're playing in Vegas with this death metal tour. Pathology is the headliner, but it's one of
Awesome.
these. I always like to have us play with a bunch of bands that sound nothing like us. That's my favorite type of shows.
I think that's the best thing to do because if you go to a show and every band sounds the same, it's fucking boring.
I agree, man. Because by
Yeah,
the third
like
band, you're just like, oh
yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, like you're not gonna open for Pantera and sound just like Pantera. And I
No.
have a question about it. How was the Pantera crowd? Because were they accepting of Nest? Because
Well,
you have Pantera and Lamb of God, and basically Lamb of God, I would categorize them as the new Pantera. Like,
yeah.
uh,
Yeah, they are definitely the band that, they have that direct support slot for the biggest metal bands. Like if these Slayers tour and they're the direct
oh yeah, it's
support,
it's always Lamb of God. I saw them opening for Metallica.
right?
I saw them play a sold out show in Puerto Rico in back in 2010. It was great. But yeah, they always had that group metal aesthetic to them. So yeah, how were those 6 shows, the experience?
It's great because the Lamb of God guys, I was lucky enough to have met them in the past, and they're very cool. Their crew was super helpful. They let us borrow one of their guitar heads for we did a little tribute song each night. We did a ZZ Top cover and had Bobby from he played in Down and he's in
Mhm.
Honky. Uh, he played lead guitar, but of course he needed a guitar. So because he didn't bring a real guitar with him on tour, so Zach Wild lets him borrow a guitar, and Lamb of God lets him borrow a head. And next thing you know, he's playing it with us every night. Now it's a whole part of the thing. So every night they're letting us borrow their stuff. It's like they didn't have to do that. How cool of Lamb of God to let us do that. But then after the show, like the bass player John would come hang out with us, and chill out. And Randy would always have something nice to say backstage. And actually, John joined us on the ZZ Top song on the final show. So it was cool, Lamb of God, to be so cool to the opening band. And of course, the Pantera crew is the best in the world. And
it's a great exposure for people who didn't know the band.
right, yeah, and so I guess they answered the question of how did the crowd react. I think overall it was positive. No one threw anything at me. I only had a couple hecklers here and there. Um, really, when we came out to the stage every night, the crowd's already pumped up and their seats are in the pit ready to go. Because that's what I was worried about. I was worried we'd come out like there's no one there.
They had
Yeah.
seats in the. They had
Well,
seats.
and these are all in indoor arenas. So these
Oh.
are all like where the hockey teams play or the
Mm.
basketball team. So all around the bowls, all seats with different levels. And then in the front, there would be a pit where there was no seats. So it was great.
Okay, yeah, because I'm like pit with seats. That's dangerous.
That would be boring. Yes.
Yeah, and boring. People will be like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
no.
For a Pantera show, you don't want the first 30 rows setting down.
Oh, well, before I moved back to Puerto Rico, I was going to see Limp Bizkit in a show in a hotel, and I was in the line for the show, and they had to cancel because the promoter put seats in the mosh pit,
Oh
and
God.
he wouldn't take them down, and the hotel said no, it's for security reasons. I'm like, did he not? Hello, they have a song called Break Stuff. did he not like know that it was gonna be like a show? And I was very pissed because say what you say about like a lot of people like they say the band sucks, but they put on a hell of a fun like, music show. Like,
I've seen Limp Bizkit so many times. I saw them first on Primus's Brown album
wow,
tour. So this is, I think, even before $3 Bill came out.
yeah, that was before.
So I had no idea who Limp Bizkit was, and I'm seeing him live on stage. I remember thinking, "Who does this guy think he is?" It was the singer Fred Durst. I'm like, "This is guy the clown," you know. But the riffs were cool. The band was heavy, and that's what was big at the time was the new metal, and they were one of the best, if you ask me, at the new metal. And
Yeah, a lot
I've
of people give him shit, and a lot of people mention Linkin Park, but I'm sorry. Without Limp Bizkit or Korn, there would have been no Linkin Park
yeah, see, I never got into Linkin Park. I can't say I was a
because
fan.
it's too clean.
Right.
Linkin Park, they're good, but they're too, in my mind, they're always been too safe sounding.
Right. Yeah. That's the thing with new metal. It
Yeah,
was not safe. It was a wild
yeah. You
time.
have
And
bands like Deftones, which I love, but they did their own thing. But yeah, I love those. I love all type of music, just as long as it's good. So yeah, it's awesome that you guys see them. But yeah, no, I couldn't see them because they put seats in a mosh pit, and who the fuck put seats in a mosh pit?
very bad idea. That could have ended badly.
Yeah, and they canceled. I was in the line, ready to see the show, and they said like, "Oh, there's no show." So I was bitter, and now I see that they're headlining shows in South America. I'm like, please, come to
Oh
Puerto
yeah.
Rico.
And the crowds are looking bigger than ever. I've just seen them recently too, and they're still putting on a great show. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, no, I think people are just accepting if music for what it is now. They're not hung up on like the genre. So yeah, the band Nest, pretty cool band. I would recommend this to people who like hardcore, but hardcore with some experimentation. And there's mix. It sounded like hardcore meets Helmet meets all those bands putting together. So I really enjoyed it. So you guys, so how long is gonna be the tour that the headlining tour that you're going to do now?
So we'll do 18 shows in a row, no days off, and we'll start in New Orleans, go out to California and back. And like I mentioned, there's a couple new states we haven't played, and but then again, there's a couple places and venues that we have played, and I'm looking forward to returning to. Hollywood, we played. It's a place called Knuckleheads, and it's right by the Hollywood Cemetery,
Oh,
and that's where they bury all the famous actors. Or it's a trip to go through. It's like, oh, there's Burt Reynolds' grave, and there's There's Dorothy and Toto. Like, holy shit! Like, it's they
they,
have a
they buried the dog with her.
it's yeah, it's pretty. It's a trip, but I love Hollywood and LA, so I'm looking forward to getting out there. And we're playing a place called Reno's Chop Shop in Dallas that I haven't been to in 15 years.
Wow.
And I remember when I went there, I was like, this is a pretty cool metal bar. I was like, I'd never even been to a metal bar, I think, at that point in my life. Like, they didn't exist back in the 90s. You know what I mean?
No, I don't
And
remember them.
yeah, so now there's metal bars that will serve you food, and now and they got a line like you go to Akuma's Corner, for example, or Oscars, or there's a lot of metal lights.
Yeah.
If you go into New Orleans downtown, you'll find metal bars. It's
Or a place. Well, I went to the rib place for the Iron Maiden drummer, Nico's place.
okay, yeah, yeah.
They were
Great example.
okay. They were okay ribs, but
Right.
I went in there with the hope that I saw Nico, but there was no Nico
Yeah.
that day.
He wasn't making the ribs.
No, he wasn't there. I was like, oh, I wish Nico was here. But
Yeah, Kiss has got a place now. It's called Rock and Brews, and you'll see them in airports sometimes.
but
And
but you'll see the virtual Kiss there.
well, now, yes. Well,
Yeah,
now who knows who owns
I doubted that Gene Simmons would be there,
it?
but
But
yeah,
yeah, but it's a pretty cool. It's like if I'm going to give some money to someone in this place in this airport, I might as well be Kiss.
yeah. There's always ways to make money. So, John, it's been great chatting with you. I'm gonna post the link for people who want to pre-order the record. So it's coming out in a week, the 12th, and you guys are gonna be on tour. So people check out Nest on tour in the US. They're gonna play some shows, and if you saw them with Pantera and Lamb of God, comment. What do you think of the band and the show? And if you were one of the hecklers, then don't do not comment.
You can comment too. It's all
You
right.
can They can comment too. They're all around. So so John, thank you for joining me virtually here on the couch today and talking about Nest and Endeavors. A great record that I urge people to listen to. And there's a music video right now for what the what. Oh my
What's
God.
the issue?
What's the issue? I'm like, what the time? What's the issue? And the story is great. So check that out. So until next time, people, this is Hector, the shield dude on a couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and goodbye.